Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to make your own reusable fabric Christmas crackers. So when you order the kit, I also have it available just as a PDF download, but if you order the kit, this is what you'll get. You'll get a box, okay? Don't be alarmed at the size of the box because, okay, what you get on the inside, okay, it'll all be wrapped in tissue paper. You get the tubes that you need to make the Christmas crackers, and this makes a really nice storage box for your Christmas crackers too. This is what I send out my ready-made crackers in. Okay, so you get 6. You can buy a set of 12 to make a set of 12 or a set of 6. So you get your Christmas cracker tubes. These are really thick tubes, thicker than toilet roll tubes. You get a roll of ribbon. This is 6mm by 5mm long. This has got everything you need to make 6 Christmas crackers. You have got 6 pre-cut pieces of fabric. This is the bauble fabric. This was my Etsy top pick from last year on my ready-made crackers, and I have some left, so these are going to be what you get. There's another set as well if you want them in this fabric. Santa hats on penguins. Okay, you'll get my business card, a little thank you with a voucher, and the instructions, not the instructions, the information on how to wash them. So really it's spot wash only. And then you'll get the instructions, and this gives you everything you need to know and follow along. Okay, what you need, how to do it, colour photographs, and that is what you get. Okay, so that's what you get in your kit. Let's get started on making some reusable fabric Christmas crackers. So I'm going to show you how to make one, but what I tend to do is I tend to batch make. So I will do everything that's needed for one part of it on all of the Christmas crackers, just so that you're at the same stage with each cracker. It just makes life a lot easier. Okay, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to mark where your ribbons are going to be, your ties. If you've got the PDF download and you're not using ribbons, you're using twill tape or whatever, this is where you mark where they're going to be. Okay, so in these, because I know the size of the fabric, it's 6 by 13, because it will fit these tubes perfectly. You can see that the tube will be in the middle, so I've given it a bit of extra space where I mark where the ribbons are going to be. There's instructions in the PDF download version on how you take your measurements. Okay, so the first thing you've got to do is you've got to measure 3 inches from each end. Okay, so I'm just going to do that, just a little mark at the top, 3 inches from each end, and that is where your ribbon is going to be. Okay, then we need to take it on to the next step, where you're going to fold under and iron about a quarter of an inch on each end. Okay, let's go do that. Okay, so we've got our marks on the right side of the fabric where our ribbon is going to be. We're going to turn our fabric over onto the wrong side, and then very carefully we're going to fold our fabric in by about a quarter of an inch. Just finger press it, okay, and then iron it down. Okay, and do that on both sides. Okay, this just leaves you with a nice neat edge. Okay, you can, if you want to, sew these bits down, but I just find that adds an extra step, because at the end I fold it all over and sew it up as one seam, and that keeps out your that covers over the main seam as well. It just gives you a really nice finish. Okay, so that you do that. Okay, so this is where we add the ribbon. into all our pieces. Okay, you will have to remove, there is a little plastic strip unfortunately on these to protect the ribbon. Okay, so what you need is, you need 12 bits of ribbon measuring 16 inches each. Okay, so my cutting mat's upside down. Oh dear. Let's see if I can remember how to measure 16. There we are. Okay, so that's right. Okay, so you measure each one at 16 inches. Okay, now this roll of ribbon is amazing that literally you will get 12 bits of ribbon measuring 16 inches each out of it, with just a tiny little bit at the end. Left over for another project. So obviously you need 2 bits of ribbon per cracker. There you are, you've got a piece, you should have a little piece approximately 6 inches long left, okay, which your kids will go off and play with if you've got children. These also make really good wheels if you have kids. Okay, for craft projects. Okay, so the next thing you've got to do, so on the right side of your fabric where you put the marks, where your ribbon was to go, this is where you need pins rather than clips. I absolutely love clips, Wonder Clips, Quilters clips, but this is where you need pins. Okay, so you fold your piece of ribbon in half, okay, and with the folded piece, okay, you pin it just on the inside of that mark that you made. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, just on the inside, and pin it down in place. There we are, pinned. Okay, so we'll put those aside for the next step. Okay, so ribbons are in place. The next thing we've got to do is fold them in half, long ways, pin them and get ready to sew. Okay, so I've got some clips. I like using clips for this, especially as you have to remember that you've still got these pins in. You still have the pins in. Okay, so being careful where I've got the pins. Okay, because the last thing you want to do is sew over the pins at the wrong angle and break your needle. Okay, so clip it. Okay, remember your folded edges as well need to stay nice and secure. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this little bit slightly up just so that I can see where the pins are. It's useful to be able to see where the pins are. I mean, you can feel a lot when you're sewing, okay, but also seeing them is good. Okay, okay, now that's very important as well when you sew that you keep the ribbons out of the way, okay, so they should kind of be poking out at the ends. Okay, so next step to actually sew it all together. Okay, okay, so here we are at the sewing machine. What I've done is I've set my sewing machine just to a straight stitch length about between 2.5 and 3, okay, and I've just popped the end of the cracker, this bit here, okay, underneath the presser foot and put it down. You have to sew with about a quarter of an inch seam allowance, okay. So I measure that it's just the very edge of the presser foot will follow the edge of the fabric, so the cut line, okay. So that's a quarter of an inch on my sewing machine, okay. So I'm going to do a little forward and back stitch just to secure the edge, because remember that's not sewn down if you haven't sewn it down, okay. So we're just going to sew following that line, okay, and then you get to your first pin, which is where your ribbon is, okay. So this is where I do a forwards, a backwards, a forward stitch so that it's much securer, okay. Reverse and go back forwards again, okay. Okay, here's my second pin where the second ribbon is. Okay, so we're going to do the same again, forwards, backwards, and then forwards. Forwards, backwards, and a bit forwards and backwards just to secure off the edge, okay. So there we are, okay, that's that done. The thing I always do as well when I've done these is take my pins out, because the last thing you want to do is turning your fabric with the pins still in, okay. So we're just going to clip the edges and then it's time for the big reveal, turning it the right way around. Okay, so you have your cracker, okay, you've taken the pins out from where the ribbon was and you simply push one end through to the other. And there you are, you can see the beginning shape of your cracker. There we are, it is a tube with ribbons attached. Okay, so this is where I neaten up my edges, okay, because I didn't like that you could see when this was sewn, the first time I made them, I did sew them down after ironing them on the inside, and I just didn't like the result because you can see this raw edge here from where you've sewn it together. Okay, so what I do is I just flip it over by roughly the same amount, so about a quarter of an inch, and I pin it down and do the same, pin it all, okay, pin it, clip it I should say, because I use clips, and I just think that gives a much nicer, slightly more professional finish. You do not have to do this, of course. You can simply sew it when you iron it at the start, but you will end up with that seam, being able to see the seam line, and I don't like that. So this is a much nicer, and especially if you're going to give these as gifts, these are a great idea for gifts, because you can literally put the gift on the inside. Okay, you can stick them on the tray. Okay, so all you have to do is sew around to secure that in place, and then we will put the tube in. Okay, let's go back to the sewing machine. Okay, so this I will admit is a little bit fiddly, okay, because the tube isn't very wide. Okay, but what I do is, okay, so I'm going to take the clip out. This is at the bit which is next to the seam, okay? Just very gently pop it, kind of flatten it out as best you can under the needle, okay? And sew a little forwards and backwards stitch just before where the seam, because it's tricky so over the seam. It's a little bit bulky, but I still think this is the best way to get the nicest results. Okay, so we'll go forward, backwards, and then forwards again. Okay, so you are simply sewing round, and I tend to put my finger in here and kind of hold it taut and sew it round, trying to stay back to the beginning, and there you are. Okay, so we're just going to cut the threads. Okay, cut them on the inside. But I just think that neatens it up. That makes it much more neater. All the way around. Okay, and then you just do it on the other side as well. Then we're going to put the tube in, tie the ribbons, and your cracker will be done. So here we are. Your edges are all neat. You've got your ribbons. It's time to put in your tube. Okay, so literally it's a case of just slipping it in. Okay, so it should be a little bit. There should be a little bit of neatness, just so that it doesn't slip out very easily when you open it up. Okay, so there you are. Tie around your ribbons. If you want, you can put in a little bit of something like fray stop at the edges of your ribbon to stop them fraying. There you have it, your very own reusable Christmas cracker. Thank you very much. All the details of where you can buy the kits and the download are available in the links below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Okay, I have other videos up there and other kits available in my Etsy shop. Thank you very much. Bye.